What if I told you the greatest threat to human survival has barely been used as a weapon of war even once? For 80 years, two rules, one written, one never spoken, have kept the world from ending. I'm counting down 8 of them, one at a time. By the time we reach number 1, you'll understand why the deadliest weapon on Earth might not be the one you're afraid of. Let's start at the bottom. Number 8, mutually assured destruction, the doctrine everyone's heard of, but almost nobody can actually explain. Picture 2 people standing ankle-deep in gasoline, each one holding a lit match. Neither can strike it without burning both of them alive. Nuclear weapons didn't make war impossible. They made victory impossible because whoever fires first still gets destroyed by what follows, guaranteed, automatically. That's why it's called assured, not likely, not probable, assured. And it's the reason the arms race never stopped once it started. Number 7, deterrence only works on one condition, that retaliation is certain. And that's where an entire category of weapons quietly fails. With a nuclear missile, there's radar, satellite tracking, a launch signature you can trace back to a silo within minutes. With a virus, none of that exists. There's no contrail, no launch site, lab leak, natural outbreak, deliberate release. Even years later, entire scientific communities can't always agree which one happened. You cannot retaliate against an enemy you cannot prove exists. That single flaw is why biological weapons have never been able to do what nuclear weapons do. Number 6. If nuclear weapons work through sheer destructive scale, biological weapons could, in theory, threaten similar devastation for a fraction of the cost. No decades-long uranium enrichment program, no rare, heavily monitored materials, just a laboratory, trained personnel, and time. That's exactly why, during the Cold War, some governments quietly built bioweapons programs alongside their nuclear ones, betting it might be the cheaper path to the same leverage. So if it's cheaper and just as frightening, why hasn't it defined the last 80 years the way nuclear weapons have? That question is reason 5. Number 5. And this is where the theory stops being theoretical. In 1979, in the Soviet city of Sverdlovsk, something went wrong at a military microbiology facility. A maintenance worker removed a clogged air filter and didn't log it. For hours, weaponized anthrax spores vented directly into the air over a residential district. The Soviet government spent over a decade blaming contaminated black market meat. It wasn't until the early 1990s that Boris Yeltsin publicly admitted the real cause. By the time the truth came out, the accident had already become the deadliest confirmed anthrax release in modern history. But wait until you hear reason 2, because Sverdlovsk wasn't an isolated accident. It happened again, twice, in 2 completely different ways. Number 4, 1984, the Dalles, Oregon. A religious group tried to influence a local election by deliberately contaminating restaurant salad bars with salmonella. It remains the single largest bioterror attack on US soil in history, and most Americans have never heard of it. Then in 2001, letters laced with weapons-grade anthrax spores were mailed to news anchors and 2 United States senators, just weeks after September 11th. 5 people died. The FBI's investigation took nearly a decade, named a single suspect who died before trial, and remains disputed by independent scientists to this day. Number 3. Despite 3 real, documented incidents, biological weapons have still never been used state against state in an actual war since 1945. In 1972, nearly every country on Earth signed the Biological Weapons Convention, banning the development, production, and stockpiling of these weapons outright. It was the first treaty in history to ban an entire category of weapons. Compliance isn't perfect, but the taboo it created has mostly held for over 50 years. Number 2, meanwhile, nuclear weapons sitting ready across a dozen countries, thousands of them, aimed and armed, haven't been used in war since 1945 either. Researchers call this the nuclear taboo. Unlike the Biological Weapons Convention, it was never written into law and never voted on in any parliament. It's closer to an inherited instinct than a policy, one that's held through the Korean War, through Vietnam, through the Cuban Missile Crisis. Even in wars, nuclear states were losing badly. Generals who could authorize a strike in minutes have chosen, again and again, not to. That's not deterrence anymore. That's an unspoken agreement. Number 1, and here's the twist you were promised. Right now, both of these unwritten rules are being tested live in the same war. Russia and Ukraine are fighting the largest land war in Europe since 1945. NATO has deliberately avoided sending its own troops to fight directly. Not because it lacks the firepower, because Russia holds nuclear weapons, and crossing that line tests the entire nuclear taboo at once, live, in front of the whole world. Weapons cross that line, money crosses that line, training crosses that line. Troops on either side still have not for over 2 years. That's not theory anymore. That's the nuclear taboo holding in a war happening as you watch this video. 2 rules, one written in 1972, one nobody ever wrote down at all. Both a little more fragile every year the world gets more crowded, faster, and less patient. So the next time someone tells you nuclear weapons are the most dangerous thing humanity ever built, remember reason 6 and reason 4 and how close we've already come the other way. If this changed how you see the war happening right now, follow for the next part in this series.